All my friends, when they drive this, they go, man, this thing is just angry. It wants to just go. I put it in fourth gear on like a 40 mile an hour road, and normally when I'd be kind of sluggish in all the other cars, this thing just picks the hood up and goes. I'm a JDM guy. I'm a Euro guy. I would never buy a Mustang. Are you kidding? People crash them. They're basic. Everyone's got a Mustang. They're obnoxious, whatever. That's how I thought until now. Let me explain how I've come to the conclusion that there's a lot more people out there that should consider buying a Mustang for a good reason. And I'll get into why I haven't been posting in almost a month now towards the end of the video. This car caught me off guard big time. Just some food for thought before we get started. You can get a car like this plus or minus $20,000. This one specifically 2016, but regardless, around 430 horsepower for this year, I believe. That comes out to about $46 for every horsepower. 1 horsepower, $46. You go buy an STI like I did for $32,000. You get maybe 300 horsepower to the wheels. That comes out to about $106 per horsepower. Think about that. There's a lot to be said, though, about that statement. We'll get into it. And I will be touching on the people who crash these cars and that subject. I want to start with the idea of you think you know how this car is going to feel when you get it. You go, I don't want to buy a Mustang. You usually stop there, you're like, it's basic, it's predictable, it's a V8, it's naturally aspirated, everything about it is predictable, it's got to be boring. I thought the exact same thing. Once I went out and bought one for my channel's sake. If you're new here, we're all about building confidence in the garage. That's what the brand Karma Speed is all about. And we like learning every single sports car model and everything about it from before buying it to after getting it, DIY, modifying in the garage ourselves. So I love to have a well-rounded opinion. I love to have a good angle on all subjects, on something I'm passionate about. And with cars, I want to learn about all of them. I maybe not might build and keep all of them, but I want to have one of the better opinions on all subjects when it comes to figuring out which car you need, what does what car do, etc. And the Mustang was just the next thing on the list that I never really thought I'd own. I never really thought I'd want to keep, but I feel completely different after owning one, and I can't get that point across to most people until I get them in the seat, which is what happened to me. I have a buddy, big STI fan, just, oh, Mustang, blah, like, it's not that cool, blah, 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 doesn't really fit me, yada, yada, yada. But I'm like, look. This car does everything well. You just need to drive it. It's a blast. I'm telling you. You probably might consider buying one because you could get one a lot sooner than an STI because of the price is a lot lower for a good one. No. Go out to the canyons, let him drive the whole way home. Dude, I think he can't stop talking about Mustangs. I might buy one. I don't know. They're just so easy to obtain. And a lot of the conversation we had was, let's talk about maintenance. Okay, you go out and, for this example, this guy wants an STI, or maybe you want, a Mazda Speed 3 or a Focus ST or a GTI or, an RS, whatever. You got to think, what does the cost and maintenance that come along with it? You buy a Mustang for around 20 grand. You could have over 50,000 miles and not even worry. Like, these Coyote motors are like bulletproof. They come with around 400 plus or a little over 400. You can throw boost at them to make 800 horsepower, and if you keep it conservative around 650 to 700, from my knowledge, you can run these motors to 100,000 miles like without even a single hiccup. So you think when you leave them naturally aspirated, you have less problems. This car is simple. You buy the car, you put a catback exhaust on it, and you go drive it and have a blast. It handles well, it goes fast, it handles the freeway well, it can do dig racing pretty well. So you can honestly hang with most people, and you're not in it for, you know, around 20 grand. Now, it's a blast already, right as you go. Engine light, not likely to happen. Maintenance, change the oil, air filter. You're pretty much done, and the car's a blast. You go buy something like an STI, very underwhelming. You spend around, you know, 25 to 30K for a newer one the same year as this, with lower miles. You've got an engine that can't handle more than around 400 horsepower before the ringling, you know, the piston cracks, and that's toast. And then to get it to that power level, you're probably spending 5 to 6 grand. So now you're in it all this money. Now it's less reliable. Now it's more likely to blow up. And think about all that stress that comes along with that. That takes the fun out of it. Now, if that's your taste, like it is mine, the STI is my end-all be-all. It just feels like me. I'm willing to put up with that stress. But if you just want to get into this space and be into cars and go driving with friends and learn about cars and, you know, keep it low stress, this car is awesome for that. I'm going to be flat out honest. An STI specifically, the most stressful car to own, period. It's actually awful. It's a blessing and a curse of a vehicle, of an EJ motor, etc. Now you could go buy a Focus ST, put like, you know, 2-3 grand into it, and have a quick car. It's fast, it's fun, but it's never going to be near as fast as a Mustang or a GT, or have torque all over the board. Like third gear on the freeway, this thing lifts the hood up, and it's a blast. You don't get that from these lower horsepower cars that are a little bit cheaper, but not much. So the biggest point I'm making is this car is super cheap to make it fun. Some cars like the STIs and a lot of the hot hatches, like you have to spend a lot of money up front to get them to be fun. But this car, you throw a Corsa catback exhaust on, you lift the hood up, and you got torque all over the place. You're moving on the ground quick. It honestly, I thought would get really boring. It doesn't, because it's always there. Let's talk some numbers for a sec, because this car is harder to crash than you think. In 2016, approximately 105, almost 106,000 Mustangs were sold. Think about that, 106,000 in 2016. The Dodge Challenger, 64,000 approximately were sold. Cut that in half. Then the WRXs was 30,000. So when you see these videos of people crashing these cars, you have to take into consideration how many more Mustangs are on the road. It's a lot. So you put a lot more people who don't know how to drive behind the wheel. You have rear-wheel drive. You have a lot of torque. You have a V8. What's going to happen? Crashes. Lots of videos. People who don't know how to drive. All the videos I've watched, I swear, they put it in second or third gear and they rev it up and then dump the clutch when they're already rolling. Like, then if you boost them and they just break loose so easy on street tires, it makes complete sense why people crash them. But after owning one and pushing it in the corners and the canyons and all that, this car has given me a higher adrenaline rush than any other car I've had, because when I go to the canyons, I can go around the hills, I can be on my friend's bumpers, I can be on the edge of a cliff and be pushing the car to its absolute limit, and almost right out of my comfort zone, where the drive home I have such a crazy adrenaline hangover, I almost feel sick, and you feel awful. Like it's crazy to say, but I've never felt that until this car. I can push to the limits and have so much fun in it that on the way home, if I drive as hard as I can, on the way home I feel sick to my stomach. I have a headache. If you don't know what an adrenaline hangover is, it's because you haven't had one yet. And if you want to get that behind the wheel, this car does that very easily because it handles corners so well. Front wheel drive car, that can do well. You got a little bit of understeer, all that. It's quick in and out, but it's not as wild, I guess, as a car like this. All-wheel drive Subarus, you have a lot of understeer, a lot of tires screeching up front. It's heavier, it pulls out of corners really fast, but this car, you can head into it really fast and get out of it just as fast, if not faster, while you're trying not to let the rear end slide out. It's a blast. It's a good time. Don't forget, this is a car from factory that has a mode to let you do a burnout that holds the front brakes for you. You can do a burnout on command. You can do donuts, you can slide it around. Yeah, it's a little heavier. It's not like sliding around a 350Z or anything like that, but it does all of the things across the board. Now, the one drawback of something doing everything really well is it doesn't really have any tricks. Like the STI, it's got the blow-off valve, it's got the boost hit, it throws you back in your seat. It's kind of like fun. It makes it feel faster. It makes cool sounds. It throws big old flames on the back if you put enough money into it, basically, to make it do that and build it that way. And that's a great time with friends, but there's areas that it lacks because of that. And it's the only part I don't like about this car is that it doesn't have any tricks. It doesn't throw flames. It doesn't make any like unpredictable sounds. You can make it do pops and bangs and flames, but like, should you be like tuning this motor for that? Not really. To drive it all the time. So, but that also keeps it very comfortable, very predictable, and good at everything. So this is one of those cars that if I wanted a car that I could daily, if I wanted a car that I could take with my friends to canyons, that I just want to live the car lifestyle to my fullest potential with 20 grand in my pocket, this would be it. And 20 grand is usually where people are, very comfortable. The mass amount of us that watch these videos for this demographic, for us that are younger, like pre-20 to like mid-20s, 20 grand is some good play money. It's comfy enough and nice enough in here where I feel spoiled, but then cheap enough to where I feel like I can slide around a corner, and if something bad happened, I wouldn't go home and cry and be upset because I crashed my $50,000 Toyota Supra. Now, you're trying to picture yourself. What am I going to take away from this? How am I going to act on this? Let's talk about specific cars. You have a Mazda Speed 3, you have a Focus ST, you are thinking about getting a Mustang GT. What does it feel like going from that to this? Going from that, you realize how much torque this thing has everywhere. You go, wow, this thing is fast in every gear. It's crazy. You can pick up a lot of top speed very fast. That's the first thing that goes through your head. Then you realize, wow, this thing handles corners really well. The hood is really big. I feel lower in the car. It's a nice feel. Am I going to hate getting in and out of it compared to my hatchback? Maybe a little bit. It's definitely not as convenient as a hatchback or a four-door, but it's not bad at all. Other than that, you just learn to love it because it just sucks to the ground and stays connected to the ground. Now, let's say you go from a Challenger to this. You're going to go, wow, this thing is so nimble. This thing hugs the ground very well. It's similar in feel, but this almost just feels like a more edgy version of that for handling and such, but maybe doesn't have the same sound that you like, or this isn't your first pick, but you're just going to go, wow, this is just a better car. It handles better. The motor feels solid. It's comfortable. From my experience with Dodges and Challengers and all that, that's probably how most people are going to feel in the grand scheme. You go from a Subaru to this, you're going to go, wow, I'm so glad I can go this fast for not blowing a bunch of money. I can pin this thing everywhere, do a burnout, drop the clutch. I know my engine's not going to blow up. This is awesome. I can just beat the crap out of a car finally and not stress. And I can go slide it around, and this thing just handles great. And you get comfortable with that, and you go, how am I going to live without this? The sound of this thing, of course, never gets old. It's so angry and just pissed off that since it's naturally aspirated, it doesn't make any crazy noises like a lot of the JDM cars. I was like, yeah, it's going to get boring. This car just wants to go. I haven't gotten tired of it. I've put a lot of miles on this car, and I'm really impressed by how entertaining it has stayed, because you barely step on it, it just goes. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing the Mustang a little bit. I'm excited that you guys might be considering to buy one, because some of you guys are on a budget. You're like, I want to have the most fun possible for the least amount of money where I'm at in life, and I'm in my 20s. Maybe I shouldn't be buying a sports car. And let me tell you, the Mustang is the best bang for your buck. I can't tell you enough. Also to mention, why haven't you uploaded in a while? I appreciate so many of you reaching out. It's so kind of you guys. Long story short, doing a bunch of improvements in the garage. I feel like COVID is finally got in front of me and like looked at me in the face and is like slowing me down, and I'm trying to figure out how to pivot. You know, everyone's marketing budgets are on pause. That's a big financial hump for me to move forward on a car like this when everything else is almost going downhill. Yeah, the economy's coming back up, but that's a huge thing. Like, this is a business that I've started and I put everything into it, and I was very reliant on companies, and to not have that support anymore because everyone's got everything on pause, something I gotta pivot. I'm glad Karma Speed's a thing. You guys got my back, and I'm excited for some of the stuff we're coming out with. So I'm not stressed. I just have to pivot. I've took a lot of time to think about stuff, visualizing where I want to be. That's a huge thing that is super important. Is just visualize where do I want to be in a year, and with the way everything's going, how am I going to get there? I need to pivot. Things are changing. So how are we going to get there? I've taken a lot of time. I've been doing all the garage stuff, which has been fantastic because it's a lot of time to give myself to think, not uploading videos, not worried about posting now. Even though I'd love to, it's important to give yourself and put yourself in a situation where you can think by yourself and visualize and plan. And this is the first long break I've taken since I feel like the last at least 2 years. So a lot of good things in the works. I got some stuff I can't even tell you guys about that's long-term, physical products in your hands. That doesn't have to do with me, but it's going to be awesome. So thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching these videos. I'm so pumped on what's to come. Definitely been working hard, and this community is going to only get bigger and thrive. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys. And there are some Mustang jet tags on karmaspeed.com still. Don't forget to join the Facebook group, private Facebook group, Karma Speed. Everyone's helping each other, no negativity, just a bunch of genuine dudes, and some girls in there as well. I appreciate all you guys. All the conversation I watch happen in there is awesome. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, do that. If you want to show off your cars, send me your best photo, your high quality photo of your car to the Karma Speed Instagram account. DM it to that account, Karma Speed. We're reposting everyone's cars so you guys can find like-minded individuals with the same cars, maybe follow some new people, make some new friends. And yeah, that's what it's all about. We're all about building confidence in the garage, DIY modifying every car we can in the garage ourselves, learning about each specific sports car model, and right now being the Mustang. So if you're new here, that's what this channel is all about. I appreciate you, and I'll see you when we get started with the videos on the garage. You guys are going to be stoked on the big improvements.